I'm the apathetic bartender that doesn't listen to your problem, but instead tells you what your problems are. I'm the natural instinct to punch your boss's face, as well as the preternatural thoughts that bully you into not doing it. I'm the subtle suspicion that grows over a lifetime that hints at the idea that you might not actually be great. You can call me Brandon, or asshole, creep, or hate monger, but Dead Palette is a suitable pseudonym for me. At this very non-moment, I have a handful of uneventful explanations of certain periods in time, when certain experiences were experienced by certain people, unimportant people. So when I recite these stories, don't forget the key bits of context. There's a lifetime of information that happens before and after each story. Oh darn. Now I've spoiled it. No one dies in these stories. It was 1 a.m., and Guy Halverson sat in his dark living room. He hadn't moved for over an hour. The accident earlier that evening kept playing over and over in his mind. The light turned red, but he was in a hurry and accelerated. An orange blur came from his right, and in a split second, there was a violent jolt. Then a bicyclist rolled across his hood and fell out of sight on the pavement. Horns blared angrily, and he panicked, stepping on the gas and screeching away from the chaos and into the darkness, shaken and keeping an eye on his rearview mirror until he got home. Why did you run, you idiot? He never committed a crime before this, and punished himself by imagining years in jail, his career gone, his family gone, his future gone. Why not just go to the police right now? You can afford a lawyer. Then someone tapped on the front door, and his world suddenly crumbled away beneath him. They found me. There was nothing he could do but answer it. Running would only make matters worse. His body trembling, he got up, went to the door, and opened it. A police officer stood under the porch light. "Mr. Halverson?" asked the grim officer. He let out a defeated sigh. "Yes, I'm terribly sorry, but I'm afraid I have some bad news. Your son's bike was struck by a hit-and-run driver this evening. He died at the scene. I'm very sorry for your loss." The stress of greatness doesn't weigh you down. The only way for kids in my neighborhood to get to school is by school bus. It's my senior year and I've been taking the same route and bus for a long time now, long enough to memorize the timing and exactly when we get picked up. I always sit on the left-hand side of the bus, second to last seat from the back. I looked out the window I practically claim for my own, watching the bus pass the beautiful foliage of the summer season, close to graduation. Every day, I arrive at the stop and check my phone to kill time until 7:54. That's when the bus comes to get us. No earlier, no later, as if the bus is waiting around the corner. We drive down Michael Street for around 4 minutes. 7:58. Then the bus turns right, the only turn it takes, onto Breeze Road. Halfway up Breeze is an intersection. No stop sign for whatever reason. My parents always complained about it, but us students really don't see much of a threat because we live in a quiet and sophisticated town. Every time we pass that intersection, it's exactly 8 o'clock, on the dot. I usually keep my vision fixated on a car that's always driving down that road at that exact time. Maybe a couple seconds up the road, that black Hummer cruising down that road at that sort of speed will be an image I'll never forget. After that, we'll end up at our school for 8:05 exactly. It's 7:54. The bus hasn't shown up that day. We don't know why, but whatever. There's the bus. 7:55. A little late. We stepped onto the stairs of the old bus and say hello to our old bus driver. This morning she looked off. Kinda messy hair. Like she rushed this morning. 7:59. And we took our right turn. It shouldn't be such a big deal, but it felt so weird to be a minute behind. Now it's a bit after 8 o'clock and we're about to pass my brain's famous intersection. I felt a heavy feeling in my stomach, like something terrible was about to happen. I see the Hummer, speeding its normal speed coming down the road. The bus doesn't stop. 8:01. I rested my eyes, tired from the Gideon dust and potter's rot. I work in insurance, and this is the oddest phone call I've ever gotten. It was around noon when the phone rang. "Hello, this is Jim. Can I help you?" A woman's voice answered.
"I'm looking for insurance for my son, Robert."
A small child's voice cut in.
"Mommy, I don't want insurance." "Hush, Robert. You don't even know what insurance is,"
the woman replied. "Well, we have several options for life insurance," I began. People get life insurance for their kids all the time, so it didn't raise any red flags.
Holly, what are you doing?"
It was a man's worried voice.
"I'm getting life insurance for Robbie,"
the woman replied. The man's voice softened.
"Here, I'll get the life insurance. Why don't you go lay down?"
He took the phone.
"I'm sorry about that. Our only child, Robert, died a few weeks ago, and my wife has been a little off ever since then. Sorry again."
Full tissue boxes for empty parents. Enraged with fear, I sit impatiently staring at the clock. Every second that ticks on, I shake even more. I'm awaiting instructions that never seem to come. I glance at my cell phone, at the clock, then back at my phone. He was supposed to call 5 minutes ago, but he hasn't yet. She's waking up. She was supposed to be gone by now. She's starting to scream through the tape. This went on for what seemed like forever. I begged her to stop, but she wouldn't. She's making me lose focus. Finally, just as I was about to snap, the ever-so-familiar ringtone, "Come On, Eileen," started playing. I knew it. "To la Rouaille," I sang along. I knew he wouldn't leave me in a time like this. I needed him. I needed him to tell me what to do. He gave me clear instructions. I grabbed the handsaw and severed her head. Blood went everywhere. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect any of this, really. It was never a thought. I just got the call, and I did as I was told. I wrapped her head in clear plastic and put it in the cooler filled with ice. As soon as I closed the lid to the cooler, containing her cranium, the police broke down my door. They didn't give a warning or anything. They just broke down the door and came rushing in. One of them saw the body, then the cooler. He looked at me with evil eyes. I was confused, and I must have looked it, considering the look he gave me afterwards. He slowly opened the cooler, while the others stood staring at me, with their guns pointed at my chest. Once the cop caught sight of what lay beneath the lid, he gasped and stumbled back. He looked at me, with that evil look again. "Book him," he yelled to his comrades. No! He told me to do this. It was him. He made me do it," I pleaded with them. They started to Mirandarize me. They weren't listening to me. Why weren't they listening to me? "Check the last number that called. It's him. He made me do it," I pleaded with them again, almost crying. I guess they were trying to get me to shut up, but they appeased me and looked. It was the cop that looked in the cooler that looked at the cell phone. He looked at the other cops and nodded to them. They started putting the cuffs on me. "No! What the hell? What are you doing? Don't you see the number?" I asked, yelling while trying to break free of their grasp. They shoved the phone in my face and yelled, "The last call you got was over 2 years ago." He grabbed me by the shirt collar and pulled me close to his face. "I'm gonna take you down, sicko," he said in a low grunt. "Get this fucker out of my sight," he yelled at his team. The next thing I remember was waking up here, in this room. It's not so bad, I guess. I get a bed, food, and a toilet. They won't let me out, though. I don't know why. I wonder whatever happened to that girl. I ask about her, but they just look at me with disgust. Well, my bias should be obvious, but in case it isn't, watch the video again. I'm sure you'll pick up on the message of these wonderfully slap-length stories of discomfort the second time through. If you're still not getting it, give it a third or a fourth watch. Ooh, and like and share and subscribe even. Maybe that'll make your mind function ever so slightly better, like a 5% quicker reload perk on a contemporary shooting game. Now, if that's enough, please go to bed and think about your meaningless day. Say goodnight, Babs. Enraged with Fear was written by Courtney W. I Heard a Child was written by Thornypotato. 801 was written by Liam McFearson. And The Accident is uncredited as far as I can tell. Links in the description.